This is the voice of solutioners. This week, we speak to Sergey Petrov.
This is the voice of solutioners. I'm Remington Hernandez, and today we are joined by a very interesting man, Sergey Petrov. He is the CTO at Be Smart Technologies. So, thank you for joining us, Sergey.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, I come from Bulgaria. I am an entrepreneur who loves nature, and that's why our company is dedicated to saving the bees through technology, hence my engineering degree.
And so, how did you get involved with these bee saving efforts, and why did it pop up in your mind as something that we need to do?
Well, at some point I was trying to decide what to do with my life, and I was stuck in engineering jobs, a software engineer. It was nothing too interesting, so I decided, okay, I need to change this. So I enrolled in a program called Space Challenges and started learning about space and new technologies, innovation, and how my efforts can actually contribute for the greater good. And my grandfather was a beekeeper, so I started reading some alarming news about the bees. This was like 6 years ago. And it turns out that the bees are dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew that the bees are not really okay, but the trend was so alarming that I was frightened. And then I started searching for available solutions. Maybe I can get the solutions to Bulgaria to help the Bulgarian people and the Bulgarian beekeepers. Turns out there's none. And at least non-effective ones. And I was learning about all those innovative technologies and the sensors and the mesh networks and everything that's surrounding us today. Being in San Francisco right now is like being in a very, very innovative space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have the technology to solve those problems, but yet we're not using it. So I decided, okay, I will be the one to use it. And I started working on a concept of creating a smart beehive that allows the bees to live in a better house, let's say.
Yeah. So, have you yet started to implement this around the world or in like a controlled area?
So I started working on a project. So it was just a feasibility study on a technology.
Mm-hmm.
And then I introduced the idea to my co-founder, Ivan, who is actually, who lives in San Francisco. And having the biggest problem being in California, as last year 44% of all the bees in the US died off. We decided to make this into a sustainable business.
Mm-hmm.
So the only idea for us to just present a solution to the world was to create a business model that allows the beekeepers to actually use the device that we are conducting a feasibility study on. So we started doing this. Fortunately, I was able to get a full grant for Singularity University with that project, which really accelerated our efforts. And today we have a very nice little product that is just about to launch next month.
Have you already made some pre-orders? Have people already pre-ordered? And have you already made some kind of alliances with beekeepers?
Mm-hmm. Well, we are being helped out by one of the most famous beekeepers in the world. He's Randy Oliver, and today my co-founder is in San Diego, where there is a beekeeping expo. He's selling like wild. But for now, we have 3 people that are really willing to invest in this, like big commercial beekeepers that have pre-ordered for a couple of $1,000. And we expect to have a lot more orders once we show the world that this is validated with those commercial beekeepers.
And I think that many people around the world, maybe our viewers know, but don't know the impact of losing bees. Could you go into that a bit?
Well, yeah, of course, that's where it all starts. So 30% of all the food that you put on your table relies on the pollination of the honeybee. That's pretty much everything that flowers. That's apples, apricots, even onions. So in California, for example, you have almonds. You have 80% of all the almond production in the world happening here, but the almond as a culture depends 100% on the pollination of the honeybee. Or to put this in numbers, actually the added value of the pollination of the honeybee just to the US market has been evaluated at about $18 billion per year.
Wow.
And now we have 44% of all the bees in the US vanishing.
Mm-hmm.
So how much is 44% out of $18 billion.
It's a very big contrast, you know.
Yeah.
So, in your initiative, do you think that more people will catch on to this? Do you think that it will become a worldwide solution?
Yeah, I actually have this idea in mind. We sat down with my co-founder, and we created the mission of the company, the vision of the company, like in the first month that we got together. And the vision is to really create a mesh network, an intelligent smart grid of nature, using the bees as sensors. So we don't really want to just save the bees. We want to show the world how bees are important to every process around in every aspect of nature. And we also want to use the bees to collect data from them.
Wonderful. Now, going forward, do you have any plans to expand? Do you have any plans to put this research into the public, into media?
Well, as I mentioned, we are launching the product next month, and it's going to happen here in California because the problem is very big. The people are already searching for this solution desperately. And after that, we are moving to other big agricultural states here in the United States, and then to UK and to Europe, and hopefully to China at some point, because those guys also have a very large problem.
Now, would you say that the loss of bees is in part due to pesticides and industrialization?
Industrialization is spot on, I would say, because here's the thing. People are kind of greedy. Like on a large scale, we're greedy. When you're growing apples, you don't just grow a few apple trees and then some cherries and then some onions. You actually have like acres and acres of just apples. And this is called a monoculture. So the bees are eating the nectar and the pollen from the flowers of the apple, right? But this only happens for about 2-3 weeks a year. So the bees cannot really survive in the environment that they are pollinating. So we as people, we are dividing those two fundamental aspects of nature. The trees, which need the pollination, and the bees that need the food from them. And now we actually have those beekeepers in California turning into businessmen who own a fleet of trucks transporting bees from one place to another.
Do you think that your product and your team will lead to a greater population of bees, not just in the United States, but in the rest of the world?
I think we're going to lead to healthier bees. Our mission is to allow people to understand bees better so that they can take the right actions at any given moment. I think that the nature as it is works pretty fine. We don't need to increase anything or decrease anything. We just need to allow it to run its course.
Okay, well, and run its course it shall. Do you have any final statements? Like, what would you say to the people of the world right now if you could?
Care about the environment. Please make sure that your day-to-day life is not wasteful. That's it. Simple statement.
Okay.
Please don't be wasteful.
Okay, well, thank you. That's Sergey Petrov. Thank you for coming on. He is the CTO of Be Smart Technologies. If you want to find out more, we'll put his contact information in the post. I've been Remington Hernandez. This is the Voice of Solutioners, this week's episode. Join us next week. We'll have a great guest. Thank you for watching.
This has been the Voice of Solutioners, presented by Serendipia. To stay up to date, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/serendipialife. Thanks for watching.